truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for an hour. Since we do the show each weeknight, we have different topics or themes for the night. Wednesdays we do entertainment, and we try to do a what do we call it? I'm drawing a blank. Good idea, bad idea. Wow, that took forever. So we're looking for topics out there for today's good idea, bad idea. Everything we do online is an effort at the new media, encouraging participation from the audience, right? You're part of this conversation. So give us a topic for the good idea, bad idea. This show is episode 793. We've been doing it for a while, every single weeknight for a couple of years. It's developed over the years through different formats, and we're now a panel discussion. So if you want to join in, let us know over on the Gun Channels side. Gunchannels.com is a community, a place we built almost 6 years ago now, a place for people that are interested in creating Second Amendment content to come together and collaborate and network. And if you're interested in being part of this show, let us know over there. We simulcast there every night, of course. And then if you're on the other side, let us know if you got any questions or if you have an idea for a good idea, bad idea. So we got people jumping in from across the country. Dead Horse jumping in from Utah. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Gary is joining from Kansas. Thanks for jumping in.
Thanks for the invite.
Always. And then I'm down here in Arizona. There's a couple other links out there. And like I say, if you want to be part of the show, let us know. So tonight is good idea, bad idea. We'll be waiting for topics there. And then entertainment. So you guys have any entertainment topics off the top of your head? And I'm going to talk about Hanna. Dead Horse, I think, was telling me to watch this show. And somebody else might have mentioned that it was good. I think it's on Amazon, right? Yeah, I'm watching it on Amazon.
Yep.
Pretty good. Some, I don't know what she is. She's like Dark Angel or something. I haven't watched the whole thing yet. She's got something about her DNA that makes her super spy or something. And then she was a baby, and 15 years later, she's been living out in the woods for 15 years. She finds some boy out cutting wood, turns into a girl, and wants to go to the big city. And then the adventure starts. I'm only in episode 4, but it's already pretty good. It's basically what a 15-year-old girl running around being James Bourne. Or is it, what's that guy's name? Is it James Bourne? Jason Bourne. You've seen the whole season, though, huh?
I haven't watched the show yet. I've watched the movie, and I want to watch the show.
Oh, there's a movie also.
Yeah.
Is it the same people, or is it a different story altogether?
It's the same. I think it's the same story. It's like the same thing, but the movie's way older. The movie's probably, gosh, close to 10 years old by now. And the movie was excellent, and and it's kind of developed a cult following, right? And I don't know why they couldn't get a sequel to the movie, but yeah, so it's a different girl and everything because so much time has passed. But it's supposed to be all based on the same exact premise of the movie, and I'm unsure if it takes place like right after the movie or like what the timeline is there. But I know the movie and that's like the same story.
Well, if it happens right before the movie, then it would have to be when she the series starts when she's a baby, so it would have to be almost before her. So it must take place. I don't know. I didn't know there was a movie. So I wonder if anybody out there has seen it. Nobody's saying anything about it yet. And then of course we're looking for topics for good idea, bad idea. Although it's going to be pretty short. There's only 3 of us in here. So you said the movie's a while back. I guess I'll have to go look for that.
The movie was great. That's why when I heard about the TV show, I got really excited because, yeah, like if it's based on the same story and everything, I'd like to see the continuation of that. I thought it was really good. As far as like a super soldier type story goes, like most super soldier type stories, like I don't know, I haven't been interested in. since probably Universal Soldier. But yeah, this one was kind of a different direction and stuff. I really liked it.
Gary, anything to add on that one? You seen it? Couldn't see it.
No, I haven't seen it. I don't watch a lot of stuff though. I need to because I'm totally out of the loop as far as a lot of the newer TV movies and stuff. I feel like I live in a cave sometimes, so I need to broaden my horizons a little bit, so to speak.
I don't know. For me, when I'm doing stuff, I'll leave a movie running, instead of the radio, because I get sick of listening to whatever, they're trying to promote on the news, basically. And the talk shows are just, we get enough of that in the evening chats, and they talk about politics. At least I do. So for me, it's just an alternative to the programmed radio, and like maybe I'll alternate with music, every other so often. But I'll usually just leave a movie running, so that way it'll take me 3 or 4 times before I really absorb everything that happens in a movie most of the time. But anyway, if you don't do that, I could see, having to sit down and watch a movie. There can only be so many hours where somebody can sit down and watch a whole movie, right?
Well, especially when you spend a lot of time watching videos on YouTube and stuff like that. Or
yeah, exactly. Like
even better places like Gunstreamer.
Oh, that's a good point. Anybody been over to Gunstreamer lately?
It's there tonight.
So I've noticed a couple of changes around the place.
Such as?
I don't know, I'm trying to screen share here. I guess now, didn't they have an ad over here a minute ago? I guess they got rid of the ad. No, when you click on somebody's, though, I guess I could have clicked on Gary's there. Then you get an ad over here. That was new. And then when you go down over here, you get a bunch of ads and stuff. And these are, I didn't look at any of this stuff. So this is not cookie driven. This is streamer driven, I'm guessing.
Well, it's a way of generating some revenue for the site, I suppose.
Yeah. I hope so. So that's the point. You think about this Ivor Johnson 1911 carbine? Yay or nay?
I would like yay, definitely a yay.
Yeah, I like this guy's videos anyway. He's cool.
I would trade a finger for that, probably, maybe 2.
Oh, not for that. How does it work if the barrel is supposed to be loose in there?
Well, they basically have a thread that threads into the front of that supports the barrel. The ones I've seen are actually threaded. They actually have a threaded piece that slips over the barrel, and that it actually like affixes to the front of that slide. And then that barrel just, reciprocates loosely in there, but it supports that long, heavy weight at the end of that barrel because it's not made to, have that kind of weight on the end of the barrel, right? That leverage.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. And how does it break to, just let the slide move and stuff? It must. They made it. And I've seen them before, so they've been around for a while.
Well, it's a 45. 45 just powers through anything. It don't care.
Yeah, but I'm saying the gun itself, the barrel kind of rotates and moves a little bit. Not a heck of a lot of videos from Gun Channels people. Let's not put that rifle on the Tulsa guy. That's pretty funny. What was this Texas jerky all about?
It's a booth that is set up at the Wanamaker. They've been there. Well, every time I've been there, I always try to, well, for one thing, they're really friendly as far as allowing you to video and stuff. Just kind of, they're on the main aisle. Different things besides just guns at Wanamaker. So you can get guns, you can get holsters, you can get belts. I've got a a leather belt and holster company that I'm going to be featuring in a video here later on, and a little bit of everything.
How many videos do you think you ended up with?
Oh, let me see. I've got some notes here. I think there's, by the time I put them all together, I'm going to have at least 9.
Pretty good. How long do you think it'll take you to make them?
It's not so much a time spent making them as I don't want to put them all out at once. I kind of want to spread out the content a few days.
Like one a week kind of thing?
No, maybe one every other day or something like that.
Oh, a lot of dead air. So, Black Summer comes out on Friday on Netflix. Looks promising. 28 Days Later type zombie show. Anybody gonna watch that? Some Lockjaw on the YouTube side.
What's it called?
Black Summer.
Never heard of it.
I pay for Netflix. Maybe I'll check it out.
Something like that is where I value Matt's show. Because unless somebody's already, watching for it or like waiting for it and has already talked about it, then I can just wait unless it's unless it's something that's super critical to watch right away. Wait to find out from people that watch it and what they think. And then if it's somebody with a crazy idea of what movies are good and they hated it, then now I think about watching it because they don't know it's good. Oh man, not any comments or any kind of suggestions for good idea, bad idea. So we'll talk about Vance Outdoors, gun shop in Ohio. One of the reasons what's going on over here? So, oh, okay, good. So we did got an idea. Is that from you or is that from the kids out there?
Oh, from me.
Okay. So we just did Matt's show over there, and he does gun porn on Wednesdays where people send in pictures via email of guns and stuff, and then Matt goes through and we basically judge them. We mansplain their own guns to them. Tell them what guns are good and then what are bad, and then how to use them and what they should do to fix their guns if they're wrong. And then somebody had sent in on it with that engraved shotgun, and it was from Vance Outdoors, and I don't know which one because there's a couple of them in Ohio. But when I visited there in 17, coming back from the castle, I stopped by Pink's and he helped me fix the van and stuff. And we went over to this place, which is pretty cool. It's about this. It's like a big box store, but it's family owned. We kind of started, as just a gun shop and got bigger and bigger. Kind of tell from the size of the sign there in the outside, and then some of these sweeping shots, like just how big the firearm section is. And then I've got it over here on gunshopguide.com, so you can check out some bigger pictures of the place. And thanks to Pink for taking us over there. We try to feature a shop every day, and that was a cool excuse to feature that Ohio shop again. A bunch of people in Matt's chat had been there too, so that must be a bunch of people in Ohio. All right, so good idea, bad idea has to be good idea or a bad idea, right? So let's word these like Jeopardy in the form of good idea, bad idea questions. Open-ended questions, in other words, don't work, because the idea is to say good idea or bad idea to the question. So are these from yours? Oh no, you're just moving that one from Lockjaw. Are these other ones yours, Gary?
The third-party app is.
Okay. So we'll go with Dead Horses. He was first one to throw one in here at 9:12 p.m. And testing your CCW defense guns for the climate you live in. So severe cold and rain, moisture, good idea, bad idea. So testing your CCW guns for the climate you live in. What do you mean, like using that criteria in the selection of the gun?
Or
do
like
you,
once
just
you actually
going
buy the gun, like once you actually buy the gun, like does this gun actually run in cold weather? Right? Does it actually, for my climate? Because that's, I don't know, is that a common thing that makes guns stop running cold weather?
Mhm. Well, I mean, I don't know who's going to disagree. There's only three of us in here. Nobody's crazy. So good idea, bad idea. Everybody's going to say good idea, right?
Yeah, I say good idea.
No one's going to say
Good
bad.
idea.
But yeah, I mean, that's obviously a good reminder too, or at least a suggestion to go pack snow in your gun and see what happens. Gunfights don't happen when you're standing there. So then, I don't know. Did you want to go into that one more?
No.
All right. So Gary's one here is using a third-party app to live stream on YouTube to circumvent their policy. It's not really circumventing their policy. It's just you're live streaming on YouTube. They're just not letting you do it with their app anymore, right? Good idea, bad idea. I don't know. So are you talking about that one that Pancakes was using?
Yeah.
Well,
Or something along those lines to allow you to live stream using a mobile device. Because a lot of
Bad idea. Bad idea, because I'm sure somewhere in the fine print in YouTube's policies, they have something written about third-party things, right? Like in some sort of wording where they can be like, oh, that's a third-party entity that we didn't give you permission to use. Bam, you're banned. Just knowing YouTube, they're just not going to let third-party things, unless that third-party already website like has a deal with YouTube and has it, with Google and has something worked out. I can't see it ever being a good idea. Like that's just asking for a ban, I think.
Are we talking about this one? So he did some sort of a stream.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this awesome description here. Let me just go through the detailed description here and get a complete idea of what he talked about in this video. I figured out how to edit thumbnail and description. Okay, I hope that clears it up for everybody. So there you go.
Oh no, down in the comments, it looks like he actually commented. Like down in the comments, he actually
his comment was longer than his description.
So this app is called Live now. I used it to Wirecast Go, but it looks like they don't have a free version, so I tried this one. I'll do another test to play with the app later tonight. Of course, probably trying to cork me right now. The video hasn't showed up in my Creator Studio app under the video, so to edit the thumbnail, I went to Analytics and clicked on it. So I don't know what he's trying to say. So he's using something called Wirecast Go. No, the app is called Live Now.
He used to use an app called Wirecast Go, but it costs money.
Oh.
This one's free.
Okay. So, all right. Well, so here's the thing. We used to use a thing called Quick, QIX, and before there was a YouTube Live, that's what we used. And then we went to Blog TV, which was, while YouTube had a pretty big community. Sorry, I'll show that. Sorry about that. There was children watching. Apologize. We used to use other apps before, but now that YouTube has their own, there is the concern that what Dead Horse is saying in there. What if you went live and posted then to guntube.org or to gunstreamer.com instead of YouTube. We persecute people based on how you're trying to get your information out there.
If I had that ability, I'd jump on it so fast it isn't even funny.
Well, no, but I'm saying you go to the app that Pancakes is using, his Pancake app, and then you go live, and then you just, instead of, well, he's saying that he can go live with that app and then shove it into YouTube's streamer thingy, and it pops.
It's actually streaming on YouTube, but I believe it's emulating a full browser, or at least to YouTube it appears to be a full browser. So YouTube doesn't know it's a mobile app. So it's kind of fooling YouTube into allowing it to work.
So YouTube has a policy: if you don't have 1,000 subscribers, you can't stream from a phone, and
That's
you're
right.
using an app that fakes YouTube into thinking you're on a computer and not on a phone in order to live stream on a phone. That's asking for trouble. I think it is. Like if it was a backup account or some crappy account, like yeah, I would go ahead and use it on that. But on my main account, I don't know. I don't know if I'd risk it. I'd rather just put out a 30-second video of like showing a star and be like, oh look, there's a UFO, right? And then you'll get all the UFO nuts over there, and you'll have 1,000 subs in no time at all in like one day.
That's, I think, the best advice yet is just get 1,000 subs. I've got 1,001 subs. It's easy. I mean, anybody can do it. No, I think that's a good advice, though. Like, work on getting the subs, and then, I mean, and I guess that's not the ultimate answer, but there is some risk, I think. We saw Clover get a strike, didn't he, for talking about how he took his stream after the YouTube?
I think, yeah, it was something having to do with podcast. He was using some third-party app to upload podcast. So, but yeah, that would be my downfall. Is I wouldn't want to get in trouble for something like that when you work. Not that I want to, try to make YouTube happy or anything like that, but you work on an awful lot of this content for it to be out there. You don't necessarily want to see it all go bye-bye just because of a transgression.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's not necessarily a hurdle that's insurmountable. We've got people in gun channels. That's what it's all about, to help, right? To collaborate with and to help. So if you're going to be doing something remote like we did in Tulsa, then get with somebody. They go live because they haven't removed the live. They just removed the live from mobile at this point. So it's you get somebody else to go live, or I do it quite a bit when I'll go live on this laptop here, and then send a link to my phone, and then just leave this thing sitting here muted with the sound off, and basically use my phone. I mean, I do that because it's like a remote webcam here, but I don't know. You could do something similar with
yeah, if it would have been like last year where we had electricity close to our table, right, where we could charge our laptops, it makes a heck of a lot of difference.
One thing you can do is you can start the Hangout on your computer, right? And then you jump into it at the same time that you're on your phone, right? But so you start it on your computer, and then you jump out of that chat on your computer, and like right when you jump out on your computer, you jump back in on your phone.
Well, you won't have to button. You'd have to do
before you hit the start broadcast button.
You wouldn't have a start button on your phone, though.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
I've never seen a start button on my phone.
Yeah, I don't either. Not if I started on a computer. I'm just a participant.
When I started
on you guys aren't doing the Google Hangouts through the the button that says like use the full site, like you're using like an app on your phone or something. It's the same way that you do it. Like you get gun channels to work on your phone is the same way you do Google Hangouts on your phone.
Well, there you go. And then you eliminate it altogether, you're saying? Because if you use your browser, instead of going to YouTube app and then getting frustrated because they've shut down your channel's ability based on subscriber number, you can go to the browser, log into YouTube. It'll say, do you want to go to the app? And you say no, go to the full screen or the full desktop site, and then just navigate in and create a Hangout. Yeah, we talked about doing that. I haven't actually done that before, but
I tried that and I couldn't get it to work. For somehow it was smart enough to know.
So the way I figured out to work it is literally, like I said, you start it on the computer. You have to start it on the computer. You don't have to hit start broadcast, but you get the Hangout up and you get in it. Then you just jump out and jump in on your phone. And that's all I've had to do. And I can hit the start broadcast button. Everything's already typed in, my title and everything. And I can start it 2 hours later if I wanted to, right from my phone, right? And
Is this on an
you know,
iPhone
or
or
I
on
can
an
stay
Android
in,
phone?
yeah, or I can stay in on my computer and still, you know, jump in and start it, you know, and be in there twice basically. But yeah, that's the way I've done it, and I know that works because I've done it.
Well, have you done it since the 1,000 thing? And do you have 1,000 subs? You probably do because it's so easy to get 1,000 subs.
Yeah, because I tried to do that and I could not circumvent it. For some reason, it knew.
Maybe that'd make another little good short little video to put on my thing. Since I did the how to do gun channels on your phone, I'll do a how to do hangouts on your phone, how to like start a hangout. Because I know you can do it. So
we're talking using a third-party app to live stream on YouTube. So if we're talking about what Pancakes is doing, he's going to an app that emulates what Dead Horse is talking about. Go into a browser, and then my concern there would be many things. Whatever Dead Horse said there, I don't think is, I don't think that's paranoid. They could with some whatever, like, somebody randomly finds that or something, like that could be investigated and they could decide against you, like even with a human, right? So there's potentially there. But the other side that I'm concerned about is if it's an app that's asking for your login information to YouTube, then you've just given your login information to a third party that is not YouTube and it's not you. So now you feel comfortable with some app that's quote unquote free having your login info. When you're under 1,000 subs, it might not seem like a big deal because you can always just start another channel. But seriously, you're gonna start another channel whenever you get to 5,000 because when I did some things when I was at 1,000 subs, that probably or at least you got to change your password or something right after you use that app. So anyway, that would be my other concern, is giving some third party your login info, and if it's not an established third party that's credible or something established, then that's another question. But I like the idea of getting somebody else to host. DTP is saying that again, and Dead Horse's idea of trying to go on with your mobile, but through the full browser and not in through the YouTube app.
Or you could just kind of thumb your nose at YouTube like a lot of us did at Wanamaker and just use other things like Facebook Live and Instagram Live to live stream.
Well, Facebook will never see me on there because I won't join Facebook to.
I didn't either. It's just one of the options. I personally did a couple Instagram live streams.
That's a suggestion that came out on the gun channel side, but you do it on Instagram. Number one, I don't like Instagram Live. I got to sit there holding my phone looking at it, and I can't hear it. I'm deaf, and you can't read the chat for shit because if there is a popular chat, it scrolls by too fast. Anyway, I just don't really like it. And then the problem is, if you do it on Instagram, you got to watch it on Instagram in the next 24 hours. Otherwise, you got to have a pretty much empty phone and download it afterwards, and then go through the effort of putting it up on a channel somewhere, like on guntube.org or on gunstreamer.com. But I never have enough room on my phone to be able to save any amount of live off of Instagram. So those are and then of course the vertical just drives me nuts. The vertical, wasting all that space on my computer screen. But you guys actually use it. I don't use it. So you guys that use it, am I just talking shit here? Is it more valuable than all that?
Well, I'm not saying it's a great solution. I just say when you go to Wanamaker and you find out the day before the show that you're not going to be able to do what you'd counted on, you try to think, okay, what can I do as a substitute that will work for the time being? You don't have a lot of time to research, mind you. It's like, okay, what can I do that will work? So, we kind of scrambled and we put things together the best we could. With a little bit of advanced planning, we could have done a lot better.
I see Instagram live video working really good as teasers for things like YouTube. So someone will come out in the middle of the day and do like a couple-minute live video on Instagram and be teasing something for that night, almost like, oh, like tune into my channel tonight. We're going to talk about this and this and this. And then all the people at work that day who can't just tune into YouTube, right? And stuff like that will get that notification through their Instagram on their lunch break or whatever. They see that video, then they're like aware of what's happening later that night. So I think that's where Instagram's succeeding almost, is almost like as people are using it as like a commercial, as like advertising, right? Like it's like their commercial for whatever else they're doing. At least that's what I see a lot of that. I think it's been pretty successful from what I've seen, because a lot of the people I follow, when I see something, they put something up, on Instagram, and they talk about like, oh, I'm having this show tonight or doing this tonight, then yeah, I'm much more aware of it, right? So I usually end up tuning into those later shows or whatever. And if I never would have saw that Instagram, then I probably wouldn't have ever noticed they were live on YouTube.
So I'm just looking, I typed in live streaming on the stupid Google, and it told me about this Vimeo, which sucks, but they have a live streaming. They suggest it's the only all-in-one flat rate live streaming platform, and they do suck. I'm not saying Vimeo is good, but I'm just looking at their website here. And it says it's $75 a month, billed annually, so good luck. That's $75 a month, paid once. Anyway, then you get unlimited streaming, you get some storage, you get analytics, you get an embeddable player, you get white labeling, which means it doesn't say stupid Vimeo all over it. Password stream to Facebook Live or YouTube. I don't know. Player embed restrictions. I don't know what that means. Probably stuff so you don't have people trolling or harassing or something. Link sharing, but what it doesn't say, it says audience chat, live Q&A, and polls, which would be something that YouTube should have put in a long time ago. But it doesn't say anything about a hangout, like a room, a chat room. So this sounds like you're probably streaming. I don't know, Clover just jumped in, so maybe you know something about this, but I think you're just streaming yourself like in the old blog TV days.
Well, usually it'll say like you can share this with like 3 other computers, right? So then you give that to like your 3 main friends, and then everyone else would have to buy it, right?
I'm not sure how Vimeo works, but I know the ones I played with, they, you use all of that. You use a stream key and all of that. So you use OBS. So technically you could take something like Hangouts off air and then run it through OBS and then tie that into Vimeo and then push it out to multiple places at one time. Maybe, but I'm not familiar with Vimeo, honestly.
I never got into it. I don't know if this is new or not, but $75 a month.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. The one I had was like $10 a month. And at one time we were doing what, like 14 or something platforms at one time. It was crazy.
All right, so we've been talking about using a third-party app to stream on YouTube. And did you watch Pancake's video earlier?
Yeah, I did.
So what do you think? Good idea, bad idea?
I'd be okay with it. The apps, I mean, if you've ever built an app, you kind of know what you have to go through with the process to build an app and have it accepted and all that kind of stuff, especially if there is a version for the Apple Store. They're extremely stringent with their stuff. So I wouldn't be leery of putting that information in.
So Tim is saying, need to learn how to use Gun Channel site. I was running the stream through the site. The only half the screen would show up on my phone, which is my only internet. One of my downsides of living out of the country. So FYI, that's not just your issue. That's a known issue. So the chat room software that we use on Gun Channels is one of the tools that Gun Channels uses for people to communicate. It provides the private messaging and stuff at an enhanced level. And it gives us the chat rooms. But the company that we get that service from is one of the few, well, the only one I know of that has chat rooms still. The live chatting features that, like this one, are the one that we use on Gun Channels. They've gone from the chat room concept to the private message. They emulate AOL Instant Messenger or Facebook Messenger because I guess that's what people are asking for. I've asked them to, keep our old codes so we could use them. They're just not willing to do it. So we've got the old codes running, and that gives a bit of a glitch to the phones. But like Dead Horse described earlier, if you're on your mobile, 2 steps on Gun Channels itself down at the bottom, go to full site instead of the mobile site, and that'll send Gun Channels will send you the full site. And then on your phone's browser, so if you're using Chrome or one of the other browsers, up at the top right usually, or maybe not on an iPhone, I don't know where it is, but go to the settings and request the full desktop site as opposed to the mobile site. So now the browser is going to kick out a full website, and Gun Channels is going to kick you out the full website. And that's what Dead Horse was talking about earlier on YouTube. But on Gun Channels, it'll accomplish the same thing. And Dead Horse did a video on this, and it allows people to see the chat, participate in the chat, normally, and see the video. You can zoom in and out. So you can either look at it real tiny, or you can zoom in and hold your phone sideways and see it at full screen, basically. So if anybody's having that issue, we're explaining it for Tim, but Tim, it's not just you. That's just a thing. Gun Channels is designed to allow people to get together and everything, but I'm not trying to make it the fanciest tech out there. That's super expensive, and I would spend all my time in doing tech stuff. And we're really here to try to move Second Amendment advocacy and awareness and content creation. And so we all I appreciate everybody's patience with the tech stuff kind of limping along, but it gives us the traditional chat room that we use to chat in these live streams and have a conversation amongst a group of people publicly, as opposed to a bunch of private conversations, which is kind of against our goal. We want to encourage people to join the conversation, be part of this whole thing. So unless somebody else has something to add to that one, I'm going to suggest, what do you guys think about just getting the heck off of YT already and doing live streaming on some other platform? Now, even if it's not Vimeo, just some other platform, and then again, challenge audience and give audience some different tools, I guess, skills. Go find us on this platform, and like maybe Discord or Twitch or some of these other ones that are established. But we have diversity for where we send out our produced videos or our blogs. Why not same thing with stream? Right now we're not really limited to YouTube, but we all kind of have this like limitation that we're all so familiar, and it's such a powerful software. Chirps.
Well, I did that kind of, sort of, and still do. And you just can't get people. You've got for as much as the gun people like to, and I'm talking about the listeners or the viewers, like to whine and complain and everything else about these platforms and blah, 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 and this, that, and the other. Getting them to go switch and go over somewhere else is seemingly a nightmare. Now, as long as I've been utilizing Instagram, it continually is growing over there. So, but it's been a slow burn, without a doubt.
Yeah, Instagram just requires too many. You have to be willing to look at it on your phone. You have to be available. Looking at a phone, or I don't know. I guess I am one of the fewer people that's looking at a computer most of the time. I'm sure most people are looking at phones, but
it is one of those platforms that is still on the rise too. You gotta take that into consideration.
Oh yeah,
you're not on a dying
platform. I'm gonna let my strategy.
Yeah, you're not crapping on it. I get you.
Oh no, I'm still crapping. I'm just saying I'm not gonna let my strategies be influenced by, or I'll let them be influenced by trends and by numbers, but I don't want them to be, what's the word, like dedicated to, like they're not restricted to only doing the paths of least resistance. I mean, that's what I was getting at. Like if we continue to only be on the platforms that are easiest or largest, or create growth, then we're not helping the platforms that aren't all those things, and we're not challenging audience. Because if we're, I guess, everybody depends on what they're doing. Obviously, the people that are out there to just entertain, they don't care. They want to be wherever the most people are. But some of us, like I say, I think that all the people in this room, most of the people watching this, people might be listening to this future. I'm assuming nobody's listening to this who isn't an activist. If we're trying to get ourselves stronger and give our skill set up and watch to what's next, so that we're there, so that we're already established in whatever's next, that's where I guess I'm getting at. Like, let's
Right.
It's got to be about time to stretch our legs. I mean, we'd like to. It'd be great if we had a obvious, easy next step, but when that doesn't exist, I don't know. Maybe there's a conscientious, like, thorough vetting of all the different platforms, or maybe some kind of a collaborative project where we all go out and check these different platforms and come back instead of just haphazardly, discovering them out of need or.
Right. Well, me, I'm a big fan of diversification. So, split it up amongst platforms, and then you've got special stuff. Monday's different than Thursday, so both of them are on two separate platforms. Yada yada yada. There was more platforms than as I brought back live shows and other things in the future. I mean, I would probably diversify those across different platforms as well. You're going to have a certain amount of crossover. You're going to have a certain amount of people that are going to like what you do, and so they're going to take part in this experiment we call the internet, and playing around with these new apps and sites and platforms and all of that. And they're going to be more than willing to hop on this one or that one, depending on what night of the week it is, and so forth or so on. And then you've got the static audience, right? The ones that are just completely locked in no matter what you do to that particular medium, whatever it might be. And that's okay. By being diversified and branch out, you reach more. Not all your eggs are in one basket in case anything goes wrong. Because, let's say it's not even a policy change. I mean, remember VidMe, hey, we're turning it off, that kind of crap can happen too. The platform runs out of money or gets bought out, or anything can happen. So split it all up and go. I do want to kind of comment to something I think Dead Horse was talking about, and I want to make sure there's no miscommunication or misconception when it comes to Instagram, because he was talking about doing a little live or something and like kind of pre-announcing or whatever it was, your promo or whatever, right, for your live stream. Big difference between video and the live stream portion of Instagram. If you were going to do a promo, you would definitely want to cut that as a video, as a 1 minute 59 second or whatever it is, I guess, video on Instagram, I think, rather than a live. Because
I see Classic Firearms. I see all sorts of companies doing that with live streams every single day, dude.
They do a live stream on Instagram announcing their live stream.
They do a live stream on Instagram announcing their YouTube videos, announcing what they're going on, what sales coming up. They use it as advertising, I said.
And that's a potentially that will work if you have the following. If you're a profile of your page on Instagram, though, that does not have an already large following, when you go live, it notifies your followers. It notifies nobody outside of your followers. So yeah, that's a way I guess you could notify your followers. But if you're looking to grow, you would want to do an actual video for the promo. That way you can put in your hashtags and all your other stuff. That way you're catching more than just your followers. That's what I was getting at.
You've never searched current live feeds that are going on Instagram? You can see like all sorts of people's live feeds you're not subscribed to, right? And just like go through and browse them.
You have to browse them, though. They're not going to pop up on your feed.
Yeah, haven't you ever done that?
They're not popping up on your feed according to a hashtag.
Everybody uses Instagram differently, so he might not have done it that way, but you guys are both correct and you're both not seeing the whole thing. So Dead Horse, I don't think you just said go live on Instagram to promote. I don't think you cared whether or not it's a video or actually in live, or maybe you did. And Clover, you're not incorrect. If you put it in a video, just a video on Instagram versus a live thing in your little, whatever they call that little live area up there, the circle, then it stays longer than 24 hours, and you've got all the hashtags and stuff, so it stays archived. But you can take your own item from like that, let's say that 1 minute video, you can take that 1 minute video and save it to your live. So you can accomplish everything you guys both said by just putting it in the thing and shoving it to live. But what Dead Horse is saying is super relevant. Number one, well, both of you guys are correct. It isn't going to send it to anybody except for your lives, but not everybody uses Instagram the same way. But because it's there for 24 hours and it's at the top, many, and you know, you've got those like circles when you go to your left side of Instagram.
Your story. Yeah, you put it
Yeah,
in
your
story.
stories. Yeah, that's what I should be saying.
Correct.
So then, you know, so there people go through and look at, you know, every story usually. So and when I put a post up that's relevant, right? Like I'll put, my strategy is gun, 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 something important, gun, gun, something important, it's something important, gun, gun. And then I'll try to shove as many important things as I can until subs go down. And then I go guns for a while, you know, so I kind of play like a band, and as soon as I see the people leaving the room, I play songs they want to hear again, and then whenever there's a crowded room, I give them a lecture.
Right.
So you know, I play a game and it doesn't grow, but I can keep people there. So what I'll do when I'm like gun, 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 and I know when a gun picture is going to do well because Instagram is an equation already. Gun, 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 and then when I put something up that's either important to get across or an event that's coming up, then I'll put it to my story, because what'll happen is if you know, gun picture gets 200 views, gun picture gets 400 views, third gun picture gets 100 and something views, and then something important, the lecture, gets 25 views, right? It just falls flat, because when you're just thumbing through, you're just going to swipe right past that one or not thumb it up. But that same picture, when I shove it to live, 300, 1,000 views. So what Dead Horse is saying is you're jumping up into the live because you're going to get eyeballs. You just get way more eyeballs up there.
Mhm.
The balance is gone in 24 hours. So it's not any good for you after 24 hours. But certain things, who cares if they expire?
Well,
But best of both worlds, post it as
Yeah.
a video, share it, and now you've got it forever. And go ahead.
the misunderstanding on my part is saying live, and the way I understand that is the storyboard. So I mean, that's where my misunderstandings coming into play. No, I completely agree with the storyboard thing.
And yeah, the live, like I was saying, the live is like the, when you go live, you know, I'll use the
Right.
live on Instagram to share whatever I'm doing here, because, you know, more people will be on Instagram. But the thing is, they'll come in Instagram, they stick around, they thumb it up, they leave. You know, nobody. Okay, I don't know what you've experienced with your live shows. You've been doing them regularly for a while now. Do people stick around and watch the whole show? Do you see that number like grow up to the same numbers you had on YouTube?
Yeah, it's getting there.
I've never had more than like, I think 5 people ever stick around at one time and watch Instagram. Like it, you know, it'll say like 64 people watch this at the end, but you know, 3 at a time, no more than 4 or 5 at a time.
No, I mean, there's conversation. I mean, that's how you gauge too, right? Engagement, and that's what we're always pushing is engagement. And like Monday, I couldn't hardly keep up with the chat. I mean, it was, you know, it was bouncing. So I mean, there was, you know, probably, you know, it wasn't as much as I haven't grown it like my YouTube was, of course, yet. But you know, there was probably 18 to 20 at any one given time. And a large majority of those stayed throughout the whole thing. I mean, it was probably 10 or 12 easy that was the same people throughout the whole live stream.
DTP is saying part of it is you got to set schedule and not random, which is definitely true. And you let people know, often on gun channels and then on other places, that you got your show coming up. But then it's also your format. Your format is listen to Clover and interact with him and be part of that conversation, with Clover hosting a conversation on Instagram Live on Mondays, which is different than, like here's me randomly kicking one up, and then because I'm not, doing any kind of schedule or format, not even talking to them, just seeing no interaction. So you're right. If you had a show where you're like, hey, welcome to my live feed, so-and-so, like some of the people will do, like every time somebody new joins, they'll pause whatever they're saying and say hello to them, ask the same question, where you coming from or whatever. And so, yeah, if you do a chat that, like you say, asks for participation, it's going to be a different type of audience.
Right. And yeah, DT's got a great point with scheduling, and it's always great if you can schedule that out. You get people used to a certain, same bat time, same bat channel, right?
Same Clover time, same Clover channel.
Well, yeah, same difference.
All right. Well, we talked about third-party apps quite a bit. Pancake has come in, seeped pancake batter all into this show. He's done in the past. And we'll go on to the next one. Was this one not Gary's, but that was Gary's. So that was a big question. The next one, I guess, is Lockjaw's. Any benefits of having ported barrels? Good idea, bad idea? Clover? Good idea, bad idea?
In most cases, I like them. Yeah.
Dead Horse? Good idea, bad idea? Well, ported barrels.
Most of the time, bad idea.
Gizzard?
Well, I've never shot one, but I can only presume they have a purpose, so I'll venture to say good idea.
Oh, bad idea. So I'm going to go with bad idea. So now we're 50-50. We got some kind of shootout here. You guys take ported barrels, we'll take non-ported barrels, and we'll see who wins. So who wants to elaborate?
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
So on ported barrels, there are some guns like, a revolver that they can do some effective things for, but on most semi-autos, the gun was never designed for a ported barrel. It wasn't designed for the stress and for the geometry that the ported barrel now changes in the gun as it's cycling the normal function of the gun. Most guns aren't designed that way. Most guns are not designed to have a ported barrel and not run that way. And so, that's just all there is to it. If
I'm not gonna.
It's rude to talk about cycle without him being here, but go ahead.
I'm not going to change my opinion, but I do agree with what Dead Horse said. That's why
Here's the thing, though. If you go with what Dead Horse said only, that's only semi-autos. I mean, there's shotguns with ported barrels. There's tons of revolvers with ported barrels. Rifles have ported barrels.
Here's my where I see the benefit on a ported barrel the most. I see the most visual or felt, I guess you could say, benefit is on firearms that have no moving action. Does that make sense? A revolver, the hammer drops, it fires, nothing moves, right? The break shotgun, for example, over under shotgun. I've got one, my competition shotgun, matter of fact, it's ported, completely awesome. But you close it up with the shells in, pull the trigger. I mean, other than a firing pin, nothing's moving after it fires, right? Like in a semi-auto would. Bolt gun, same way, same principle. Porting in that sense, I see the biggest benefit. But Dead Horse is right in that in semi-auto, with the movement of the action and other things going on, it's not nearly as noticeable. And I don't know that other than looking cool, maybe, I don't know that it has a lot of direct benefit.
I think it's wears guns severely, and it's a lot harder on them and causes a lot more failures, stoppages, and broken parts.
In semi-auto.
In semi-auto, exactly. In semi-auto. And then in rifles, I have a problem with rifles that are ported because a properly ported rifle barrel will be a chamber port where the bullet actually leaves the lands in the grooves and opens up into a chamber, and then it's ported. So like a rifle barrel that's ported directly into the lands and grooves, you don't see that because, well, they throw off accuracy. It causes the barrel to whip because the bullet can still be in the barrel as the gas starts to exit the barrel. So for accuracy issues, that's why we have muzzle brakes that are external, or the ones that are integral open up into a chamber and where the bullet actually leaves the lands and grooves. So technically it's not a ported chamber, right? It's a ported barrel.
It's not as simple. It's not as simple as you just put your barrel in a drill press and poke some holes in it.
Exactly.
Right. When you do that, you end up with getting it full of copper and stuff. Like it pulls bullet, it pulls projectile.
Oh, yeah. And accuracy is going to be horrible.
So then there's the issue that comes up with, like Tim is saying, I think ported barrels on a defensive gun is a bad idea due to the muzzle blast going up in front of your line of sight. So there's been that issue with the instant blind, or what do they call it? Night blindness or something?
Night blindness, yeah.
Or than the potential of just flames shooting out. So, and then I mean, people say it's crazy, but you stick on a semi-auto revolver or a pistol again, you stick holes in the barrel. That means that there's slots in your slide, right? Otherwise, you're blowing something up. So call me crazy, but Murphy's Law, if there's a tent stake in the vicinity, it's going to end up in that barrel. I don't care what anybody says. So, I don't care if it's never happened. Like, why would you put a hole in your barrel at the end with a, cutting your slide? It just seems like waiting for Murphy. It's just tempting Murphy with a big red flag. Not the current red flag, but the
what did you say? Why would you port the barrel without cutting your slide? Is that what you said?
No, I'm just saying you have to port your slide. So you're literally putting a hole from the outside elements into your barrel.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
Maybe for, like for games, for competition, for hunting or something where it almost doesn't matter. Yeah, go nuts. Do whatever you want to do. But for defensive gun, like I say, if there's a way for some piece of metal, a nail or something to get jammed in there, Murphy's going to jam that nail in there. And then good luck shooting that gun.
Right.
I only had one gun with I might have a ported barrel, but my ported barrel is like out the front of the slide type of barrel, and then it is just literally ported, not like what Dead Horse is saying. Like it's just got somebody drilled holes in it or something, or it came that way. But I think it's almost for looks more than anything, because like you say, it's not really helping anything.
This pistol though, right?
Just for like a Glock. I think I have a long Glock barrel, like one of my caliber conversion barrels is longer, and then it has these like cuts in it or something, I think. Or maybe I'm thinking of one that I almost bought, but I remember seeing one for like $40 somewhere, and I was like, well, I'll buy it just to have it.
Right.
Yeah. All right, well, that was a good one. So do we have any other questions that came in?
I don't see any.
All right, so then we had one from Tim saying, what is this join group feature here on Gun Channel? So let's jump over and take a look at our Gun Channels. So it's a place we built a while back, and it's software. So that software is could be anything. It could be like a Craigslist type of thing. I could build it into a YouTube if I wanted to pay for video hosting and stuff. So it's just a set of shelves, and it can be set up to look like anything. So we focus it around channels. Most of us had been coming at the time from Gun Channel or from YouTube, so we considered ourselves channels rather than like bloggers or writers or something else. But so we picked channels as the pronoun, or is that the right word? So we have channels, and so then there's the calendar and there's the schedule of live events. But really, you join Gun Channels as a member, and then people set up channels, and that's what we're talking about when you talked about the join and all that. So when you go to a channel, right, I just navigated over and see there's different channels here. If you jumped into one of the channels, like Daily Gun Show is a channel, you can either like or unlike the channel, which is no harm, no foul. You're just a member and you're liking or unliking, right? Then you can join the channel. And then what was the other question? What's the other one you can do? There's the join the group, and what was the other one? Isn't there another button you can do? Follow. There's a follow somewhere. So join means you're going to be a member of the group, and some of the groups are invite only, some of the groups are private. You have to be a member to see stuff. For example, the moderators on Gun Channel, we hide that channel, and the moderators are the only ones that can go in there and see it. So for that kind of channel, you'd have to be a member. A channel like the Daily Gun Show, you don't have to be a member, so you can be a member or not. Doesn't matter. You can join it if you want or not. But let's say you wanted to, I think what the idea is, and I don't know why there's 3 levels, honestly. Maybe it's for some other iteration that I could make the thing into. But you can join the channel, in which case you're like listed as a member of the channel over here somewhere, wherever it says members. Or you can just follow the channel. In other words, when the channel posts something, you'll be notified. So let's say there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the main news feed over on Gun Channels. You're going to be notified probably with a little update over here whenever the channel does something. And then the like and unlike, like I say, it's just a no harm, no foul. Just decide to like a channel or not. So this one looks like it has 88 people following it, 95 people are members of it, and it's had 101 likes. And then, you know, it's just a way for the channels to keep track of that kind of stuff. Hopefully that explained it. All right, so let's see. Something went wrong with the stream is not being live. Did it go dead? Nobody's saying anything. We do have dead air right now. Am I still connected?
Yeah, you're connected. It's on. I'm watching it on YouTube.
Okay. So, any other good idea, bad ideas?
I don't have one.
Everything's working for everybody out there, they're saying. All right, well, right on. Tim said that explained it. So anybody's welcome to make a channel over there on Gun Channels. And if you've got an area of interest or you've got something that you'd like to share, if you've got a project or a channel or some kind of effort, like a blog post, photography, or anything really, feel free to make a channel or browse through the channels. Plenty of people have created them over the years. Maybe kicking an old channel, knocking some of the dust off of it will bring somebody back. It's possible that, you know, the reloading crew, you know, they got hot and heavy for a while there. They've been kind of less active. You know, sometimes going in and asking some questions on a channel, get some of these guys out of their couches and back on in the live chats. There's been channels for competition shooting and people that are into health and getting, you know, physically fit. All different kinds of firearms or, you know, like say areas of interest as far as like shotguns or revolvers or old guns or whatever. Let's see, going into anti-gun video comment sections to recruit. I like that one. So using the anti-gun video comments to recruit. So not just using them for anything else, but specifically to recruit. Good idea, bad idea. Gary? From Guy on the YouTube.
I don't watch a whole lot of anti-gun videos, tell you the truth.
Well, yeah, good idea, bad idea. Is it worth going in there and using them in their comments? So not necessarily even watching them, just going in and utilizing that resource.
Finding the pro gun guy in the comments and then recruiting him.
Can't hurt. I mean, good idea.
I didn't think of it that way. When I heard recruit, I guess I was thinking trying to convert, but you're probably dead on with trying to find other people that are out there fighting the good fight, maybe not even realizing there's other people on their side.
Yeah, people that are having like good arguments in the comment section and, you know, stuff like that, letting them know, oh, hey, there's a place where you can come focus your skills to become a Jedi, right?
Right on. I like it. So you're going to say good idea then?
Yeah, good idea.
Sorry, what did you say? Good idea or bad idea, Gary?
I said good idea.
Okay. And then Clover?
Yeah, always a good idea.
So we're giving them metrics, we're giving them comments, and we're giving them numbers, we're giving them views. Now, a guy follows up with, give support to anti-gunners in short term, but possible long-term gain in pro-gun people.
Right.
Or would they just block us? Hashtag echo chamber. Well, don't know until you try it, I guess. And
they're probably only going to block you depending on how you go about doing it. If you go in there and start dropping a bunch of links and, you know, just making an ass of yourself or something, then, you know, probably so. But I mean, if you
2-bit and 2A, is that what you're saying? So you go in there and start 2-bit in the 2A?
There you go. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's true. If you go in there using the comments as a recruiting tool doesn't necessarily only mean replying to someone's comment. You could see someone in there fighting the good fight, go over to their channel and send them a private message and say, hey, I saw you over it, link to that video, you know, fighting the good fight, blah, 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 right? So then that channel that you came from or you found that person at has no reason at all to know that they were the impetus of that meet, right? They just happened to be it. So you don't have to worry about getting blocked if you're just utilizing data that they've created. So I don't know. I guess that's interesting. I mean, who cares about a view? I guess that's what he's saying there. Short-term support to them. Yeah. But I guess I like that idea of identifying people that might be worth having a conversation with, and then having conversations with them off that video, because I do not like the idea of adding comments to them. Here's the other problem: we're acting like that happens all the time. Very often, it seems like, and I don't know, maybe I'm exaggerating, but tell me if I'm wrong. They lock their comments down. They don't allow comments, and that way they get to say, "Well, those people are rude." Well, of course, they don't ever allow it to happen, but anyway, they, you know, what I'm saying, I don't see too many anti-rights videos where they encourage conversation.
No, and they'd treat us as trolls over there, of course.
Right. That's a good question, though. I guess I'll say good overall. That would be an awesome. What would it be like if instead of having conversations about the weather and like the next new, you know, barrel length or color or whatever they do to guns now, they don't even put new sights on them. Seriously, that's lately everything's just been paint jobs, right? Like, there been anything. Well, I guess they've been putting red dots on them, so people have been putting RMRs on them. But instead of just talking about that, if people were like strategizing about that kind of stuff, like, oh yeah, I've been watching these blogs, or like, you know, I've been tying this blog to this video and linking them together and showing them that like their own numbers don't make sense. This guy keeps saying 80%. This guy keeps saying 97%. They're quoting the same source. You know, like you know, stuff like that. Maybe that is happening. We don't know about it. So maybe there's something to be said for finding other. When we say echo chamber, we assume that we're the only one shouting. What if there's 1,700 echo chambers and we don't all know we're all out there? How do we tie echo chambers together? How do we find new echo chambers?
Search, honestly.
Yeah, it'd probably be more like once every quarter, put a deliberate effort to see who's doing new stuff. I'm guilty of that. I never really put deliberate effort into discovering new Pro 2A talent. Just let myself discover it, or, you know, drift and allow it to come along in front of somebody's news feed to get caught up. That's fairly random. What if we did a more deliberate effort on gathering and archiving it all? Kind of neat.
I mean, I don't know about you all. I'm still finding people that I've known for years and years. Like today, I struck up a conversation with a coworker about, you know, what I was doing this last weekend, and come to find out that he has guns on his place too and stuff like that. I didn't even know he had guns at all. So sometimes you can open up conversations with people you didn't even know were gun people. So there's always opportunities out there.
Always a good point. One of my best friends ever was I was the manager, he was the assistant manager, and we worked together for a while, like months. And then his girlfriend or something came in and said something about hunting. And I looked at him and I go, "Oh, you hunt?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, you like guns then?" He's like, "Yep." Hell, looked like a bunch of chumps working together for months, never bringing it up. You know, he was into guns as much as anybody I know.
Right.
Yeah, felt like a chump, like I say. So that's a great point. Well, that's sort of the idea of the Every Second Matters, and the whole idea of, you know, not hiding the gun stuff all the time. Coming out of the gun closet.
Right.
All right, I stick to YouTube, so I won't go to Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, but assume they have anti-gun accounts. Yep, except I think it's probably the same. I mean, I'm not saying every single time, but whenever I've looked at something or something's in the news and you end up checking a link, I guess that's the worst time to go check, because, of course, when the news is sending everybody in the country to a post, it's going to have its comments blocked no matter what the post is about. But they definitely have a presence everywhere. See. So Tim is saying on the gun channel side, does anyone have any idea how to deal with the anti-gun people that make the Super Point, they want tanks or nukes when you try to talk about not wanting ARs or AKs or whatever banned. So when they jump to the tanks or nukes, not really a good idea, bad idea, but it's a topic. I've seen a couple of things. Dano did a whole series, a couple of weeks, but he did a live show where they went through this website that dealt with different positions that antis would have and how to address those. And they took that one in an interesting way. And I don't remember it because I didn't dismiss it, but it wasn't the way I liked. And we've had that actual discussion, though, numerous times over the years. How do you guys, or if you guys had that conversation, what do you think you do?
Hey, G, I'm going to need to jump out. It's time for me to get to bed.
Right on. Thanks for jumping in. Appreciate you staying.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
Well, I mean, you're jumping to some fairly huge extremes there, and even trying to equate a nuke with a tank is two totally separate things, because we can actually own tanks, right?
Oh yeah, tons of people do. That's why it's kind of a funny one when they bring that up or whatever.
Yeah,
it shows that they don't realize. I've suggested, who do you think owns nukes? Do you think the Army makes them? I guess the Air Force. Do you think the Air Force, like, employs a bunch of scientists and does research? Do you think the Air Force, mines the uranium or whatever they do? And do you think the Air Force like assembles these things in factories that the Air Force owns? It's like those things are private property all the way up until the Air Force says, okay, we're going to buy that off of you. I'm sure they have to be licensed or whatever, but those are private individuals. So if they want to be technical about it, we live in a free country. And so, I mean, that's a bullshit. It's not going to win anything. It's not a correct answer. It's just a word.
Right.
But theoretically, you're intellectually right, haha, but it doesn't help nothing.
Well, and if you're falling back to original intent, if you're one of those people and you're falling back to original intent, then, I mean, nukes and tanks are fair game, as are F-14s and everything in between. It says arms. So, I mean, they had the private citizens during that time had warships, right? So that would be a maybe something to bring up, to point out.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the question thing. So I guess it depends on how they're going to ask that or whatever. But so they're going to say, the Second Amendment, they're going to say the Second Amendment covers tanks and nukes. Or are they going to say, you think you just want everybody out there owning tanks or nukes?
Well, bottom line on it for me, and I think where I would come down is I would say, look, here is where the misunderstanding is. The AR-15 is not a tank. Yes, military application that civilians can get after the fact and own or whatever. A nuke, yes, military application developed by the private sector. AR-15, not a military application item. It is a civilian copy of said. It's there. That's the difference between the two. One is a copy. The other two would be the same thing. That would be like saying we don't need bulldozers. You can't have bulldozers because they're too much like a tank, right?
I guess they're going to say you can own a tank, and then you can own a tank. You can own a tank. You can just go buy one. Tanks are just the only thing prohibiting you from buying a tank is money and a place to park it, right? Maybe they can own a tank. I don't even know if there's any laws anywhere. Maybe again, like a homeowners association that doesn't allow vehicles over a certain weight, perhaps. But otherwise, nobody cares about tanks. And to get it to shoot stuff, you can definitely put any small arm on it because those are all legal to buy. And the tank itself, the cannon in the tank is a destructive device. So there's definitely tanks that are 100% good to go that can shoot that are out there. And what's to fear that? Like, seriously, like, you really think foreign government's going to buy a tank legally and then go to all that, register everything, and then use it somehow? But the nukes, that's pretty easy because, What are you just going to go mine uranium? You're going to go buy uranium from the uranium store? That's kind of a silly one. So if you're talking bombs, then anything designed to, cause havoc is legal, and that's already a law. So that's not an issue. So they would probably be suggesting that, what are you going to say, the Second Amendment applies to all these things? Then you can effectively say yes, the Second Amendment does, and we've effectively agreed that having something, a destructive device like a bomb, which can, or a Molotov cocktail for that matter, if you own poison, like using that, whatever, crime is a crime. Right? We already have laws against that, and that aligns with the Second Amendment. Tanks, we just said you can buy whatever you want with a tank and register anything you want and have fully operational tanks. It's just, again, it's a fear that's irrational. So if you're going to suggest that, these things somehow are going to equate to our right to own a firearm, where was I going with that? Damn it! With our right to own a firearm, then you can already own these things. So the Second Amendment does. I don't know if I was going with that. Like, the Second Amendment already applies to these things. So yes, do you think the Second Amendment applies to these? Yeah, it does. And or at least the Second Amendment lives in the same world with those things.
Right.
It's not like it's not as if they're suggesting, like, right now there's this loophole that the founders didn't realize, the framers, I should say, of the Constitution didn't realize that nukes would happen. They didn't know about bombs because somehow firearms happened before bombs, right? Like, they didn't know about bombs. So they didn't, they wrote arms, and they're not realizing that bombs could be arms.
Let's see. I remember something about the rocket's red glare and the bombs bursting in air. That's been recent. That was like P. Diddy or something that rapped about that, wasn't it?
Yeah, they've already taken that out of schools. Did you guys heard about, they took the National Guard symbol out too, right?
What?
You know the Minuteman, the National Guard symbol, or the Minuteman, like the guy with the rifle and holding a plow?
Okay.
They took that symbol away out of school. The National Guard dropped that symbol as their symbol because they can't have it in schools because schools have a strict no gun policy, so they can't recruit in schools with that symbol. So the National Guard dropped a 200-year-old symbol of our
Well, first of all, let's not pin all schools into the same silliness, because don't want to generalize and say all schools are crazy like that. Every school I can think of for miles and miles around me, I mean, that's perfectly fine. Kids wear Smith & Wesson T-shirts and Ruger T-shirts and AR-15s on T-shirts and all kinds of stuff. So, in fact, a lot of them have even shooting sports programs. So, yeah, but yeah, there are some. Yeah, there's no doubt there's some places that would get crazy with crap like that. And if they're going to do that,
enough of them for the National Guard to drop their symbol since their inception.
Well, enough. The right one. Right. I mean, that's not a matter of enough. It's just the high profile or got some type of attention or something, and that would do it. And that's a lot of what you see happen is you see these companies, agencies, whatever it might be, and you'll see them kowtow to these anti-gunners or whatever, and it's just because of who they are, what kind of connections they have, the money behind them, and the amount of attention that they raised. It has nothing to do with it's a rapid epidemic of anti-gunnerism across the country, and I think we get lost in that sometimes. We see an isolated little pocket of maybe 30 or 40 idiots screaming to the top of their lungs and whatever, and they get some traction and they get their way, and you're like, it's an isolated. I think it's an isolated thing. A lot of times it causes that.
To some extent, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I just got back from outside, but if you don't put out the cinder, what you're talking about is the sparks that fly from the fire, right? The embers that drift up a bit and fall far from the fire. But if you don't step on some of those, then they got the potential to flare up. Some of them. So I guess there's some advantage for ourselves if we're thinking of this anti-gun, anti-rights, anti-freedom fire, and these crazy extremes go popping out every once in a while. You know, a pocket of sap or whatever explodes and throws a little ember out. It's to our advantage to go around stepping on those things as a habit, so that, you know, we don't let it get out of hand and it just becomes old hat. Maybe, you know, get used to getting up and standing around the fire instead of just sitting there and expecting or requiring that if everybody just sits there, it's sort of like you require somebody to be sitting everywhere around that fire to be able to put those little things out. But if we consider ourselves a little more mobile, and then we don't need everybody to be on track if a couple of us can maneuver it, or fewer of us can maneuver it. Throwing a bunch of different analogies out there. Mm-hmm. Oh, snap. Where did Pants get this one? Did you guys say this one? We didn't get into wars because of tanks and nukes. We made nukes and tanks because of war.
That's a good one.
That's really good. Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
Like, because it kind of goes along with, I think, what we were kind of both expressing. Like, tanks exist. I mean, when we're saying that, like, people own tanks. And if they don't, like Clover said, what do you think a tank is? It's a bulldozer with some extra armor on it, literally. So if you think that anything about a tank, like if you think it's the big gun, like, come on, anybody knows you can take enough black powder and a pipe and you've got a cannon. I mean, especially if you don't want to shoot it twice. I mean, they're never going to be able, if they can somehow remove chemistry knowledge and the ability to figure out if you put something in a pipe and it shoots out of it. You know what I mean? Like, that's got to be some basic knowledge they want to remove from society if they expect that to never happen. And, you know, so that's, and then the other part of a tank, just the big tracked vehicle, there's actually probably bulldozers up bigger than any tank has ever been, right?
Oh, heck yeah.
God. They're more heavy. I mean, they're designed to actually do work. They got cranes that can literally reach up to the top of the tallest buildings, or not to the top of the tallest ones, but, you know, top big buildings, and cause havoc.
Yeah, some of the earth movers, you know, and some of the big, huge mines and stuff like that they're gigantic. I mean, you have to take them apart to transport them from location to location.
I think it's always a sucker bet, though. A lot of this stuff is, even that question is an ambush. So, you know, if they're going to ask you a question, we started this whole thing with, you know, what are they going to say if tanks and nukes? You know, so, you know, maybe the question is to just ask them, like, well, what is your real goal? Like, is your goal to restrict what property I own, or is your goal to save lives? Like, is your goal to really care about what I own, or is it to, you know, do you really think that influencing what I own is going to affect the behavior of other people, or is it that you want to see less violent crime in the world? And then that takes them from whatever they anticipated your response was going to be to their stupid nuke and tank question, because you knew they were coached, or they saw someone in a movie or on a TV show suggest that if you ask this, then the pro gunner is going to say this, and then you got them, right? Because they don't say things because they have a true interest in communicating. We know that. We know that about them. So we know that they're trying to position us into some move. The best thing we can possibly do is act erratically so that they don't get their anticipated result, right? And then we ask them something that, you know, throws them off guard, and maybe it's not as absurd, but, you know, it's almost just as absurd. Like, you know, so you're going to suggest somehow that if I say yes, that the Constitution allows for individuals to own weapons of mass destruction, that somehow that's a gotcha, you know, but you won't, you know, so are you going to be willing to answer this? You know, do you really want to worry about what property people own, or do you want to see less violence? Because I think then we got some places to jump from, right? I don't know. theoretical freaking conversation, I guess. But that's just another way of, I guess, answering it. Not really answering it, I guess. That was a good one, though. Let's see. What are you talking about over here on the YouTube side?
We were kind of getting into some stuff with limits on having gunpowder around, and I was just talking about some house fires I've been on where Texas has a limit on that, but I don't even know what it is, and the reason I don't really know what it is at this point, I can't remember, is it's kind of irrelevant. It's not even enforced. I've been on the house fires where it's really obvious that people reload or they did whatever, and they had, good Lord, 100 pounds or better or something, in there, and it's obvious and it's noticeable, and county fire marshal comes out after the fact, whatever, and they never get in trouble for it or anything else. And then it kind of got into ammo and stuff, and I've been on several house fires too where there was ammo in there, and it's really not that dangerous. It's not as dangerous as you might think. And if you've ever been around a campfire as a kid, G-Web's probably done it before, threw some 22 in a fire. Yeah, it could pop out, it could hit you and burn you. The brass is what goes flying more than anything, typically. And it's not that bad. A lot of times it's in cans or it's in a cabinet or something, and it pops, and it's definitely, it'll get your attention. But then Guy was saying it's ridiculous people don't have fire extinguishers, and I gotta say I live in a very old house, and unless you got to it very, very quickly, a fire extinguisher wouldn't do any good depending on the type of fire or anything at my house. It would pretty much be gone. So yeah, the dirt fire extinguishers are great if you're like right there, you're on top of it, that sort of thing. But if you're in the bed of sleep, you're in another room, you're something like that, doesn't always do you a lot of good. Better to have it, obviously, but
firearm projectile issue. You'll also realize that the risk is very low and should be treated no differently than any other hazards in structure fires.
So this is from Sammy, and I don't know if it's a copyright or not, but they take a bunch of different cartridges, put it in this box, and I'm guessing heat it up.
Must be confined to propel a projectile at high velocity. When not in a firearm, projectile velocities are extremely low.
Yep.
To demonstrate this fact, a special test device was made to hold cartridges one at a time for igniting and filming in slow motion.
So this isn't heated. This is literally just hitting the primer without a
chamber. The shot does not penetrate standard.
So now, oh shit! I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
The hell, I'm not playing some stupid.
It's gotta have the chamber to pressure.
So I'm gonna try to kill the audio. So that's, I guess I was trying to hear if I thought they were heating these up at first to show what it looks like when it's cooked.
Yeah.
Because it says what happens when ammunition is on fire, but they're basically shooting them by hitting the primer with no.
Well, a shot shell is typically going to melt before it goes off.
Right, exactly, and that's what I was going to say. This isn't accurate because unless you put all your bullets in some kind of rack pointed at a wall, you know what I mean? Like most ammo is just sitting there when it burns. So they probably do show, but yeah, it'll sound like popcorn a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
and the brass, like I said, they're holding it by the brass there, right? And
right,
the brass is when it's not held. Notice that. You see that? You see how it.
Well, this is them setting it off with a primer, a detonating cord. They're like exploding a box of ammo to show that it doesn't even ignite when you explode it. Like
right.
They're having one went off somehow and showing that you can shoot ammo. Nothing happens to ammo. That's why they use ammo.
Mm-hmm.
If it was dangerous, then we wouldn't drag it into war.
Right.
But I was hoping that because it's set on fire, I was hoping they were gonna burn some. Maybe here's where they're burning some. Anyhow, so yeah, it's not dangerous, but they also burn ammo all the time. So,
but I mean, if it with the brass, like I said, the brass flies further than the projectile because typically the projectile is heavier. on most stuff. And then that brass is also cupped, right? So that it's like a hot air balloon, right? All that pressure is inside of that, and it's going to push the brass off, basically. It's kind of like if you've ever did like a model rocket or something as a kid, you remember those that had they were hollow on the inside.
Yeah,
it's kind of works the same thing. It turns the brass into like a little rocket, basically. That's what it does.
But no, we never threw ammo into the fire when we were little kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, I never did.
Mm-hmm. Well, you might need to go out into the desert and do that. It's fun.
No, I mean I've seen ammo burning or whatever. I just never.
Especially when you get a hot 22 down your shirt because of that or something.
I mean, no, we don't have to get into dangerous things that throw in a fire. There's way more dangerous things thrown in a fire.
Absolutely, there is.
The worst is a wet rock. So don't ever pick up rocks from a riverbed that are wet and use them to bring a fire, because the water will, just like in a microwave or something, it'll start to expand and you'll get a crack, or worse, it'll crack and throw shards out. So
wow,
wet rocks are bad. Don't use wet rocks.
Yeah. Spray paint cans.
Well, no, we don't need to get into all the
aerosol cans, dangerous. Yeah, that kind of stuff, man. Poke a hole in that stuff before you throw it away. Definitely. And I think that's why a lot of your products like that nowadays have gone to plastic, right? They've realized that.
Well, plastic's the future also.
Well, that's true too.
All right. Well, we've been chatting about a bunch of stuff, and trying not to say a bunch of things that not to throw in a fire, because then it would encourage little kids to do bad things in a fire.
Yeah, we don't need to. Right. Throw wood in a fire. You throw wood in a fire. There you go.
We do want to encourage kids to go make fires, though. Make fires.
Campfires. I mean, bring the marshmallows and the graham crackers and the Hershey's, and nothing wrong with that. Maybe some hot dogs. All good.
Let's see. So that's about it. We talked about the gun shop today. We talked about that movie Hanna. Check that out, and we'll be back tomorrow. And let's see, tomorrow's Thursday, so our Yankees were off a Yankees show, so Yankees doing some show. There's a lot of stuff. Travis does his Caliber Corner now on Thursdays. Do we know if it's Sarge or Obnoxious? One of them will be doing a show. Clover does a show. And am I missing one?
I don't think so.
There's a bunch of stuff happening on Thursday, so you got lots of opportunities to check out live stuff. Mr. Knives was out there earlier chatting, a rare night appearance. He hosts shows throughout the day, opens lobbies up, makes gun channels what it's all about, like having a live conversation about guns, just about 24/7. Anybody's welcome to contribute to that and throw a live chat up there. If you build it, they will chat. So there's been chats historically after this one. So if anybody's a night owl running a night shift or something and wants to set up a chat, feel free. Otherwise, we'll see everybody tomorrow.